Hello there YouTube. It's Tuesday 21st of September 2010, about 6:15 in the evening, and I'm sitting in a country park in Cheshire where I've done a couple of these videos from. This is a to the future video, which means I'm not talking to, I don't know who I'm talking to. I'm not talking to anybody live. I'm talking to people who are, I hope, still alive, who are alive now, and some people who aren't alive yet, and some people who will never be alive. Perhaps I'm just talking to a series of recording devices like the one I'm talking to right now. Yeah, but if you're watching this video in a week's time, actually if I'm watching this video, because I usually start these videos by imagining myself re-looking at this video in a week's time. If I'm looking at this video in a week's time, hi there Fred, hope you're okay. And I'll be in Cornwall if all goes according to plan, unless I die on the M6 or the M5 tomorrow. I'll be in Cornwall. I'll have been there for a week. I'll be in a caravan probably. I'm trying to find somewhere else, so maybe I'll have found somewhere by then. If not, I'll be on a caravan walking up again to the sounds of cockerels and sheep, which is very entertaining and interesting. But I might be in a different place. I kind of hope I'm in a different place. I hope you're in a different place by now, Fred, because the mobile phone reception and internet access is non-existent. So, yeah, make the best of it while you can, Fred. In a week's time. What else in a week's time? Can't think of a thing. Let's think about a year's time. In a year's time, well, all kinds of things will be different in a year's time, won't they? Yeah, maybe not in a year, but certainly in 5 years' time. I think words like website will start to sound very archaic, very old-fashioned. I mean, it's pretty old-fashioned now, isn't it? So in 5 years' time, the idea of people having a website, it'll be as old-fashioned as people having a telephone in their house, you know. You know that thing about, up until a few years ago, it was so normal, everybody had a telephone in their house, and you would ring their house in the hope that they would be in. Now, of course, everybody carries their phone in their pocket, which makes a lot more sense, kind of. And I think the same will be true of websites. Right now, if you're alive and awake and a member of the digerati, is that the right word? Something like that. You've kind of got to have a website, and that was certainly the case a few years ago. But that seems to be dying now. I don't think that's going to be the case in 5 years' time. So if you're watching this in 5 years' time, you might be laughing at me now for being so wrong. I don't think that's the case. I'll be having a website then, I'll be as archaic as having a landline phone is now, really. Or only a landline phone. Because even now, I'll go on people's websites. Some guy and he's got all his documents uploaded. I don't care. It just seems like an archaism. It seems like I'm looking in someone's old carved mahogany chest. It's weird. People don't really do that anymore, at least. The people I know who've got online lives, their lives are distributed across a whole range of places. And not even places, I mean the idea of a place, the idea of a site, the whole space metaphor is on its last legs, I think, really. Space metaphor for internet, I mean. In the same way that, I don't think it's going to be different, isn't it? And it probably is different. So in 5 years' time, or certainly in 10 years' time, I'm sure this will be the case. The whole idea of the internet as a series of servers connected by inert wires, that image in our minds, as computers joined together by inert wires, and websites joined together by inert links, that kind of thing, I think it'll be completely over, really. It'll be much more like a synaptic web. A synaptic web, I've made a few videos about synaptic webs and connectionist networks and brains, because like in a brain, I think I'm right in saying this, the brain isn't like a series of modules, a series of machines joined by wires in the way that computers are joined by wires in the image I'm talking about now. It's the information is in the network, it's in the connection, it's just the wires. And what happens, the magic that happens out of the patterns of connection and the activity patterns that move through those patterns of connections. And I think it'll be the same with the internet, and it is already, really. It's about patterns of data emerging from connected, not even locations, but connected patterns of activity. And people, rather than having websites, I think, will have recognisable patterns of activity existing across networks of data connections. That's kind of how it is, and so I'm assuming that's who I'm talking to. If I'm talking to you in 10 years time or 20 years time, I'm probably talking to someone who's spending 70% of their time at least as an activation pattern across a network of partly silicon, partly carbon connections. If anybody's listening to this video in 100 years time, the sound you are hearing, there's two sounds you're hearing which you're probably unfamiliar to. One is the sound of cars. These are machines driven by internal combustion engine using fossil fuel made from millions of trees that died millions of years ago and turned into oil. The cars you can probably hear, and you occasionally get air traffic across where I'm sitting, so you might occasionally hear that. Yeah, that's what they sounded like back here, now. I'm imagining either modes of transport would be silent, or else they'll have artificial noise-making machines attached to them, like every silent electric car will have a vuvuzela attached to it, just to stop people stepping out in front of them. The other sounds you can hear are ducks quacking on the lake. Can you hear that? That's ducks quacking on the lake. There might still be ducks in 100 years time, or even maybe 1,000 years time, but quite frankly I doubt it. And they probably won't be on this lake, so unless this whole, maybe you've got this climate thing sorted out. Maybe we've got big parasols over the earth shading it, and maybe all our houses are painted white to reflect the light back into the space. But either way, unless they've got the climate thing sorted out, this is all going to be different in 100 years time. So Cheshire will not be a home to migrating animals like those ducks and geese over there on the lake. They just won't. So you'll hear very different sounds. You'll probably hear the maybe Cheshire will be tropical. Is Cheshire tropical by now in 100 years time? Is Cheshire a tropical paradise? Do we have birds of paradise flitting through the trees of Cheshire up there yet? That'd be great. Are there great herds of caribou? Not caribou, they're not very tropical, are they? Wildebeest, what kind of animals live in the tropics? Yeah, let's say wildebeest. They live in hot places, don't they? Maybe you've got wildebeest all by the banks of this lake by now. That'd be great. Maybe crocodiles in the lake. Wow, that'd be amazing. I won't be here to see it. I'm not here to see it. I'm dead. If you're watching this now, I'm dead. I've been dead a long time. My corpse has gone through the various processes as detailed by Mary Roach in the book Stiff. Great book I've just finished reading. It's about death. I don't think it's a classic, so you probably haven't heard of that either. Very interesting. Anyway, if you're watching this in 1,000 years time, you probably have to listen to it through some kind of translation software. Most of these words won't make any sense, I'm guessing. It'll be like listening to Chaucer, you know. I tried reading Chaucer. Can't understand a bloody word of it, or I can understand a few words of it. But it's so archaic, because a lot of the invasions and a lot of the colonisation that happened since Chaucer, which brought lots of new language and new grammar into the language, they weren't in there then. So I'm guessing in 1,000 years time there'll be lots and lots of different words from different migrant populations moving through Cheshire, moving through the UK, I'm moving through Cornwall. I'll be in Cornwall, of course, won't I? Starting next week. So all these languages and these words that I'm using will be augmented by millions of different words from millions of different languages. Or not, maybe we're all speaking Esperanto. Are we all speaking Esperanto? Or Eo? Or Panglossia, one of those kind of made-up languages. Doubt it. Maybe we're all speaking in the language of the mind. Is that barking noise? It'll probably be illegal to keep... Is it illegal to keep dogs in 1,000 years' time? I think it should be. And yeah, that's all I've got to say from the past. It's now 18:25. That means I've been talking for about 10 minutes. On Tuesday the 21st of September 2010. And yeah, see you later. Bury my heart at Wounded Knee. Bye.